Kelly is considered one of the nation's top experts in marketing, customer service, and consumer trends. She's the founder of McDonald Marketing, which has been named twice as one of the top ad agencies in the U.S. by Advertising Age magazine. Her client experience includes a number of brands, well-known brands: Toyota, Subaru, Kimberly-Clark, Nike, Harley-Davidson, Miller Coors, and Sherwin-Williams. She's been featured on CNBC, in Forbes, Bloomberg Businessweek, Fast Company, on CNNMoney.com, and is the author of 3 best-selling books. NAMA members, here now is Kelly McDonald.
Thank you, Max. Let's get started. I'm going to show you how your ag business can market to, sell, and service customers to grow in new ways. Let's face it, you're already successful. You're already successful with the products that you create and sell and the customers that you serve. How much more successful can you be if you could grow your business in new ways and with new customers? So, it's all about leveraging key macro trends that we're all facing. The first and possibly most important one is the changing demographics of the United States. Not only are we changing as people, but from a marketing standpoint, this is very key. 1 in 3 people now in the United States is not white. 1 in 3. Now, it varies by state, of course. California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, New York are way more diverse than, let's say, Vermont or Wyoming, but nevertheless, 1 in 3 people in the United States is not white. And the census has been tracking diversity with what they call the diversity index for several decades. And what it simply means is, if I grab any 2 people at random, anywhere in the United States, what's the likelihood that those 2 people will be of different races or ethnicities? So back in 1980, if I grabbed any 2 people at random, anywhere in the United States, I had a 34% probability that those 2 people would be of different races or ethnicities. But look how fast it's changed. In just 3 decades, we went from a 34% probability to a 52% probability. And of course, we all know that the census comes out this year, and the forecast for the Census Diversity Index for this year, published last month, is 65, meaning that right now, if you grab any 2 people at random anywhere in the United States, we have a 65% chance that those 2 people are going to be of different races or ethnicities. That is not a fad, that's a trend. The difference between a fad and a trend is fads come and go, like fashion. Trends don't come and go, they're shifts. And once they shift, they rarely shift back. This is an absolutely huge trend. And you see it manifested in ways that we've never really lived before. So for example, 1 in 6 marriages now is to a spouse of a different race or ethnicity. I think this is very interesting because it wasn't that many decades ago when this simply wasn't done. But 1 in 6 marriages now is to a spouse of a different race or ethnicity. But we're not just changing racially and ethnically, of course we are. We're changing in every way that we could possibly change as consumers. We're changing politically, we're changing socially, we're changing fiscally, and we're changing religiously. We're changing. So I like to talk about diversity in a little bit different way than most people do. I think that there are more than just 5 ways to be diverse. Most people think about, race, ethnicity, gender, age, and generational differences in sexuality. But diversity comes in many forms. My definition of diversity is any way you can be different from me. So for example, introverts are different from extroverts. I'm an extrovert, can you tell? My husband is an introvert. He absolutely hates people. He doesn't even like to answer the door. We're very, very different. So we can be different that way. What about creative versus analytic thinking? An engineer is very different than someone who's a graphic designer. Morning people versus night owls. Every day you're working with people who are either morning people or night owls. What about regional differences? There's no doubt in my mind that the North is different from the South, the East Coast is different from the West Coast, and rural versus metro. Who would know this better than people in ag? How about communication styles? Some people prefer a face-to-face meeting or a Zoom call. Others want email, texting, and just do it all electronically. What about Apple people versus Google people? These are just some of the ways that we can be different. So the point is that companies are now starting to get real and show us the real. They're showing us people the way that we live. And from a marketing standpoint, and as marketing professionals, this is what really matters. They're also getting more brave. It used to be back in the day, the companies never wanted to court controversy or rock the boat. But now they're realizing that when they show us the real, it actually brings business forward and drives business. So here's some examples. Cheerios, the #1 selling cereal in the United States. Cheerios was one of the first companies to actually do an interracial ad featuring an interracial couple and a happy family. So if you didn't see it, it went like this: white mom, black dad, adorable little girl. And the little girl says, "Mommy, why do we eat Cheerios?" And mommy says, "'Cause it's good for daddy's heart." And then the little girl goes into the living room where daddy's napping on the couch, and she takes the box of Cheerios and she dumps the whole thing on his chest because it's good for daddy's heart. Not a big deal. They didn't make a big deal about the interracial family. It was just a cute commercial. Bed Bath & Beyond is now showing interracial couples registering for their wedding registries. So this has gone mainstream. People want to see images that they can relate to, that look like they do, or their family, or the people that they love. Honey Maid, the nation's only graham cracker, is doing a campaign that features no actors and no models, nothing but real people and real families, and they show all different kinds of families. And one of the families that they show is a gay couple with children, wholesome dadvertising from Honey Maid. Companies are adapting and realizing that when they show us real, we respond as consumers. 40% of people between the ages of 18 and 35 have 4 or more tattoos. Not a tattoo, 4 or more. So if people have tattoos, then why are we not showing more people of a certain age who have ink? That's what people look like. Well, we're starting to. Here's a bank in Philadelphia that has a kind of an urban footprint, and it says Philly's most advanced neighborhood bank. So they're using a woman who has a cool, edgy haircut, and she's young, and it makes sense that a lot of their people and prospects in their neighborhoods and where their bank branches are would be young, urban dwelling, single people. So she's got her cool, edgy haircut, and look at her left arm. She has an entire sleeve of ink. And here's their business-to-business marketing featuring real small business owners that they've actually loaned money to, and this woman is showing her ink as well. This is a pretty conservative industry, the banking industry. So if they're doing this, it's because it's working. CoverGirl embraces diverse beauty. I can hardly think of anything that's actually more subjective than beauty. CoverGirl now has their first Muslim model, because if you're an observant Muslim woman, you cover your hair. And if you cover your hair, then from a makeup standpoint, when I'm looking at you, all the focus is on your eyes and your lips. CoverGirl now also has their first Cover Boy. And they've realized that there is a large market for men's makeup and bronzers, etc. Barbie gets real for the first time. I was a Barbie girl when I was a young girl. I always had my Barbie dolls, and Barbie has always looked like this. The traditional Barbie doll has always had a very, very tall, skinny, lithe figure. And Mattel took a little bit of grief from, consumers about that over the years, and they finally changed. Just last year, they created Curvy Barbie for the very first time. Now, she may not look that curvy to you, but this is a big step for Mattel, the first time they've fundamentally changed Barbie in decades. So to give you a sense of how big of a step this is, let me take you back to 1965 Slumber Party Barbie. For those of you who might have played with Barbies, you know that many Barbies are themed. So Dr. Barbie, Teacher Barbie, etc. 1965 Slumber Party Barbie came in a box like this, and she came with accessories that little girls would want to use for a slumber party, like slippers and a robe and a hairbrush, because little girls like to brush each other's hair, and weirdly, a scale. A scale that was permanently set to 110 pounds. And just in case you can't weigh 110, they actually included a little book called How to Lose Weight, and the book had one page, and the page said, "Don't eat." It seems pretty outrageous by today's standards, but the point is, for Mattel to now have Curvy Barbie, it's a big step in that direction. CVS Pharmacies is showing us real beauty and real ads now. They've actually banned their photoshopping in their beauty products ads, and they're not going to show that anymore. So no longer are you going to see airbrushed perfection like this. You're now going to get to see a model for the actual beautiful, real woman that she is, with no airbrushing required. Brawny has always represented strength and resiliency, right? The tough strong, brawny man, he's always looked like this. And then Brawny thought, wait a minute, why does the attribute of strength have to do only with men? Don't we all know strong women? So now Brawny's saluting strong women with a campaign that says, strength has no gender, who's your shiro? And we've got the Brawny woman on paper towels, and you can find her at various stores. Check it out. The Gerber baby became real and also irresistible. For the longest time, the Gerber baby was actually not even a real baby, just an illustration. We all know this iconic brand. And then they finally decided maybe we should show a real human being because it's a baby. Babies are great. So after almost a decade of adorable, cute babies, they actually showed this little guy. He became the Gerber baby for 2018, and he's absolutely adorable. And he also has Down syndrome. So the first time that Gerber's has ever shown, as their spokesbaby, a baby with disabilities. This baby was so well received that they had to actually continue on with showing all different kinds of cute babies. And so last year's Gerber spokesbaby marked another first, and that is Carrie Yang. She's of Hmong descent, and look at her eyes. She was chosen for her wondrous eyes. The 2020 baby for this year is Magnolia, and she's the first adopted Gerber baby. So Gerber continues to make strides working with different kinds of babies, representing different kinds of family structures and different kinds of people. Target ads feature kids with Down syndrome. Don't we all know someone with Down syndrome or who has a disability? Target makes their primary money two ways: children's clothing and children's toys. Don't all children play with toys? Don't all children wear clothing? And what I think is awesome about this is Target is showing a group of children who have largely been underrepresented in major advertising campaigns. Once again, just showing us the real. So use diverse images in your marketing. Farming is becoming more diverse, ag is becoming more diverse, and people want to see the images that they can relate to, whether they're younger people, women farmers, people of color, it doesn't matter. Just use diverse images in your marketing. It's a key part of what you need to do going forward. So now I want to shift and share with you 5 strategies that you can use to grow your ag business right now. It is about pitching, not catching. Now, we're in baseball season right now, and I'm a Colorado Rockies fan. And the Colorado Rockies are doing okay right now. But we all know that games are won on pitching. Batting's great, and catching's great, but it's really about the pitching. So when you think about your business and growing your business, you have to actually pitch. You have to actually ask new customers and go out and get new customers in new ways. Invite them to your business with pitching. So the first thing I want to recommend to you is that you have to find a pain point and relieve it. Everybody wants to avoid pain. Nobody wants to do business with any organization that is clunky or difficult to work with. And if you think that your business doesn't have pain points, I think you have to think again. Understand that people don't buy products. What they buy are solutions. One way that you can really see this is that the 2 most searched words on the internet are the words how to. People use the words how to find things because they're looking for a solution for anything or something. So find the pain points. Let me give you some example though, because different customers care about different things. So for example, women care about security and great personal service. I'm not suggesting that men don't, but women place a very high premium on this. So if you've ever had a chip in your windshield and you've had those companies come out and they'll repair your windshield, they'll come to your home or your office, it's a great service. Well, Safelite Auto found that women, and particularly single women, were extremely uncomfortable with the idea of some strange guy coming to their home. Now this guy knows where I live, and now he knows I live alone. The very thing that's a service actually became a pain point for their customers. Well, Safelite's not about to not come to your home or office. That's a key part of their service. So what they did when they realized that this was an anxiety point for customers was they now email you a photo of the technician who's going to do the work and let you know what time he or she is going to arrive. This introduces the technician to you and therefore makes them less scary and it's less anxiety producing. Here's another one. Here's a pain point. Men hate ironing. Women hate it too, but men really hate it. Omni Hotels found that men would go to extraordinary lengths to avoid ironing. If they were traveling for business or leisure, they would absolutely avoid ironing. They would buy a new shirt in the city that they traveled to. They would steam it in the shower for 45 minutes, anything to avoid busting out the iron. So if that's the pain point, when they reevaluated their frequent guest program, they decided that they would give their frequent guests, members of their program, free pressing of two garments. That is a great pain point resolution. IKEA assembly stinks. We all know and love IKEA. We love their products, we love their pricing, we love their style, but we hate the assembly part. In fact, the New York Times actually did a tongue-in-cheek article about a year ago that was talking about how IKEA is personally responsible for more couples breaking up than anything else. Because if you've ever bought stuff from IKEA and you've actually tried to assemble it with your loved one or your partner or your spouse, you're going to have an argument. It's just a fact. So what they've done now is they acquired TaskRabbit. And they became a vertically integrated company where if you buy your products at IKEA and you want them to assemble it, they'll assemble it for you and stand by the product because they actually are owning the assembly company, TaskRabbit. So how do you know what your pain points are? Ask. It's just that simple. Don't guess. Don't try to guess what your customers' pain points are. Ask. Talk to your best customers and ask them, if you could change one thing about us, what would you change? And then listen. And don't be defensive when they tell you, because if they tell you, they're telling you what you need to hear. So ask your customers and work on the things that you can work on to relieve their pain. Promote your FAB. This is a tough one. A lot of very, very large companies with lots of resources get this wrong. Global companies, vast rosters of ad agencies and consultants, it's a difficult one. So let me walk you through this and share with you how you can figure out what your FAB is. Your FAB is not your fabulousness. Your FAB is your features, your advantages, and your benefits. So the customer and your prospect really cares only about the benefit. Why should I care? Let me give you some examples of what the difference is between a feature, an advantage, and a benefit. My car. My car has a feature that your car probably has also, and that's called Bluetooth. It's a feature my car came with. What Bluetooth is and what it does, the advantage of it is hands-free talking. But I don't care about Bluetooth, nor do I care about hands-free talking. What I care about is safety. Because using my Bluetooth and with both hands on the wheel, I can make a phone call and have a safer ride. So the feature and the advantage allows me to have the benefit. The benefit is ultimately what the consumer cares about. Let me give you one more example. Airlines often feature their aircraft that have lay-flat seats for their transatlantic or trans-Pacific flights, and in business class and first class where you can lay down. So they have these lay-flat seats. That's a feature of that aircraft. The advantage of that is that lay-flat seat replicates a real bed as closely as possible. But once again, we don't really care about that. The benefit to the flyer is arrive rested. Because if I fly to London, whether it's for work or pleasure, I want to arrive rested and ready to go. So what you want to do is figure out what your benefit is and start with that in a nutshell. So to sum it up, a feature is what or who you are. The advantage is what makes you terrific? What's the awesome thing about your product, your service, or your company? And why should I care? And if you start with why should I care and then explain the rest, you'll be better off in representing your product and brand to new people in new ways. Use consumer insights. Consumer insights can share so much with you about new prospects and new ways and approaches for customers. So for example, here's a fun fact. Millennials eclipsed the boomer population, the baby boomers, just last year. For years, decades in fact, the boomers have been the largest population ever in American history. But as of last year, that changed. As you can see here, where the circle is, the intersection of the booming population declining while the millennial population continues to grow. What's important about this is that millennials are all about farming, food, and family. This is a sweet spot for anyone in the ag industry, and I know that you know this, but this is a huge sweet spot. Also, some consumer insights that might flesh this out for you is millennials are different than other generations in that they are passionate about causes. They would rather join a cause than a club. What's the difference? clubs exclude people, right? Think about a country club. You're either a member or you're not. You can either play golf there or you can't. But causes include people. Causes bring people together. So they would much rather join a cause than a club. The good news for you is that you have an opportunity in the ag business to show your soul. So there are many, many good causes that ag is involved in and always has been. You know, whether it's getting kids to farms, city kids who have never experienced, anything on a farm before, or this example here of the Detroit organizations raising $40,000 for Black Farmer Land Fund. The point is, doing good is the new cool, and you are inherently the good guys. You make the food that all the rest of the world eats. You make our food. So you're inherently the good guys. Show your soul, show your consumers and your prospects who you are. Here's some other values. Women's values. Women want testimonials and customer service and reviews online. Now, everybody likes to look at reviews online, but women place an incredibly high premium on those reviews. They read more and they read more deeply, and they actually pay more attention to those reviews than men do. And in fact, women put a lot of trust in what other women say, even women we don't know. So the easy thing here with this consumer insight is if you have happy, satisfied women customers, get a review from them and post it online, because other women will find that and other women will read that and put a lot of stock in what other women say. Here's some Hispanic core values. The Hispanic population is the fastest growing ethnic population in the United States. It's changing food, it's changing ag. So here are the 5 F's of the Hispanic core value system. Family and friends, food, of course, fresh, everything has to be made fresh. Fresh food, prepared fresh and prepared daily is where it's at, and of course, football. Again, this works perfectly in the ag industry because it's hitting on family, friends, food, and fresh. What about other cultures though? We're a global world right now, and if you're expanding your business with different cultures, one of the things that you should be aware of is that business in the United States with Americans moves at a very different pace than business does in the rest of the world. From marketing, relationships, sales, everything. We work very, very quickly in the United States, and we're very abrupt when it comes to business. We just move straight through that process of doing business with people. The rest of the world takes a little bit more time. So the metaphor is 3 cups of tea. You don't actually have to give tea to your customers. It's a metaphor for how long it can take to really form that bond with a customer. The idea is that the first cup of tea is shared as strangers, the second cup of tea is shared as friends, and by the third cup of tea, your family. So I share this with you because if you've ever tried to reach out to a new customer group and it's taking a little bit longer to get some traction with that group than it has with, let's say, your traditional US customers, be patient. Hang in there. You're doing the right thing. It's just going to take a little bit longer. But once that bond is formed, once that third cup of tea is consumed, metaphorically, you're going to have a great relationship. Also, give people what they want. We all want what we want, and we gravitate to the businesses that seem to understand us and give us what we want. So let me share with you 2 very broad generalizations that will actually change the way that you sell and market to women and men. These, again, are broad generalizations, but they really, really, really work, and they're science-based. So what about marketing and selling to women? Well, the insight here is that women value expansive choices. We really like seeing all of our options. We're not overwhelmed when we're given lots of options. In fact, quite the opposite. We feel empowered. I can look at 175 different colors of blouses, and I know I want the tangerine one, and I know it because I looked at all 175, and that's the one I want. Men, on the other hand, want their choices simplified. I'm sorry, you guys, but there's a reason your clothes only come in 3 colors, right? Black, navy, khaki. So I'm kidding, of course, but the magic number for men is 3, and this is true science. 2 is not enough choice, 4 is way too much. Men like 3. So fun fact, men buy more electronics than any other consumer group. More flat screens, tablets, phones, cameras, more stuff. Men buy electronics. Haven't you ever noticed that when you go shopping for electronics, all of the pricing is done in groups of 3? Even stuff that's not electronics, that's heavily marketed to men like tires, is done in groups of 3. Why? Because it works. So here's how you might use this in ag marketing. Let's say you're a small local dairy. You might, if you're talking to women and marketing to women, you might talk about, here's all the different products that we make them fresh every week and every day. Here's all the different ways that we can, sell to you and bill you, etc. And if you were working with a man, you might say, our 3 most popular selling products are this, this, and this. Or our 3 most common order payments and order shipments are this, this, and this. Give a man 3. If he wants more options, you can always give him more, but you'd be amazed how far this will get you. And tap into values. This is so important. I mean, the heart and soul of ag is the values that you have in the love of the land, the love of food, the love of agriculture, the love of making things grow. Those are key values. So tap into people's values. Here's some values that pretty much everybody shares because people spend money on what they value. What almost everyone in the world cares about is a locally owned business. And I believe that every business is local. Even if you're part of a large global company, you are still working with people locally. You are hiring people locally. You're part of a local community and doing business with other local suppliers. So I believe every business is local, and businesses are always good for a local economy. Also, being green and environmentally friendly. I mean, even if you're just recycling paper, that's a good thing to do and share with people at your company. And of course, fresh. Fresh is a great value. So people spend money on these things and they care about what companies are doing in these areas. What about recovering from mistakes? I think this is an important thing to talk about because any time that you are actually going out and marketing to a new customer group or growing your business in a new way, trying new approaches, sometimes you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make them, I'm going to make them, your people are going to make them, and you're going to make mistakes. It's about solutions, not excuses. So if you've ever had any work done on your home, I'm talking like a home remodel, you might know that it's very, very, very painful process to go through. Everything takes longer than it should. Everything costs more than it should. I had 2 major remodels at my house going on at the same time, master bath and kitchen. It was an absolute nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare because I thought it was never going to end. And everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I have come to believe that that's just the nature of that industry. But I had the world's greatest contractor. And what made him great was that every time we were looking at the work and I pointed out something that was wrong, he said, the only 5 words that I care about, they're the only 5 words that you care about, and they're the only 5 words that anybody cares about. And those 5 words are, we'll take care of it. You see, everything else is just an excuse or an explanation. Our server went down. Joe had his baby last night and didn't come to work. People don't really care about that. What they care about is what you're going to do to remedy a mistake. So when you have to recover from a service mistake or a product mistake or anything like that, just simply go straight to the solution, which is, we'll take care of it. And keep it short. Another macro trend, the attention span simply isn't there anymore. We're all busy. We all have too much coming at us. And one of the ways that you see this is with email. It's the #1 business tool that we all have, but we all get too much of it. So keep things short. White space and bullet points are your friends. Would you rather read this or would you rather read this? It's the same email. But white space and bullet points allow me to skim through it and find the action item that you want me to act on. Because there's only 2 reasons that we send an email. I either want you to know something or I want you to do something. By using white space and bullet points, you make it easier for me to actually act. In fact, our culture is changing so much that, the acronyms that we come up with that make texting and talking and emailing easier, like LOL or BRB. I don't know if you've seen this one, TLDR, too long, didn't read. It's actually such a thing because people will not read long copy anymore. So from a marketing standpoint, keep your marketing messages short, keep your emails short. And understand that social is everything. And I'm not just talking about social media. Clearly, that's obviously here to stay. I'm talking about our desire to stay socially connected as human beings. We are designed to be socially connected. So here's a fun thing. The umbrella. The design of the umbrella hasn't changed in literally hundreds of years. It has been exactly the same for hundreds of years. It's one of those weird products that is perfect the way it is until now. Now we have this. What do you need that for? So you can do this. because Lord knows we are not going to stop texting just because it's raining out. So our desire to stay socially connected to our friends and our contacts and our network supersedes rain. So we share in our social world. We share in our social networks. We share selfies and pictures. And once you start sharing your life, you're never going to unshare. So if you need a little bit more proof that sharing and selfies and the way that we stay connected to each other is here to stay, I give you the nation's first selfie statue, which is in Sugar Land, Texas, a suburb outside of Houston. So this is absolutely here to stay in terms of our desire to share and stay connected with our colleagues and our friends. Lastly, helping beats selling. Helping beats selling. We're all trying to grow our businesses, but selling isn't the only way. If you help me, you're going to sell me. And if you help me, you don't have to sell me. You're going to make the sale. So I want to wrap it up now with 5 things that you can do right now. Things that don't cost a dime, things that don't take a year to get off the ground. 5 things you can do. Identify those customer pain points and work to resolve them. And if you don't know what your customer pain points are, ask your customers. Use diverse imagery in your marketing. People want to see the real. Show all the different kinds of people that use your products and services and that you want to use your products and services. Use consumer insights to sell differently. So for example, I gave you the example of women liking expansive options and men liking their options in threes, millennials who want to support a cause more than anything else, and remember the 3 cups of tea concept, that business in other cultures often takes longer and the relationships take longer to form. Also, promote your FAB. Think about this one and work on this, because figuring out what your benefit is the way in, the road in to a new customer group. Start with the benefit. Why should I care? And lastly, focus on helping over selling. If you help me, you'll sell me. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful for you. If you found it helpful, I'm doing 2 breakout sessions this afternoon. You are not going to want to miss it. Thank you so much.